Hello everyone, welcome back to SQL Age. In today's video, we are going to learn about one of the most commonly used features in SQL Server, the identity column. You will understand what it is, how it works, and how to use it to automatically generate unique numbers for your records. Let's get started. We will understand first what is identity column. Right, so the identity column in SQL Server is used to generate an auto-incrementing numbers whenever a new record is inserted. Right, so we can say identity is an auto-increment field in SQL Server. An auto-increment field will allow you to generate a unique number automatically whenever a new record is inserted into a table. Often, this identity column is a field which is a primary key inside a table, right? So it's usually applied to the primary key columns like employee ID, customer ID, student ID, or order ID, etc. Right? To ensure that every record has a unique value so that we will not have any data duplication on the primary key. Right, so how to create an identity column, that we will see with the help of this syntax. So on my screen you will see I'm using a student DB. Then in this below lines you could see a syntax to generate an identity column, right? So how we will define a identity column inside a table? A normal syntax for creating a table: create table name of the table and a column name along with the data type having. After data type we mention identity keyword, right? And identity keyword need to have the two arguments, seed and increment. If you will not provide seed and increment, the default value will be, I will just mention here, default will be 1 1. Okay, so but basically for better understanding or clarity, we always mention after identity seed and increment, that may be like 1 1 or any custom values, right? So the identity column will take the two parameters. Seed is nothing but the starting value, and increment is nothing but the step by which the value will increase. Right, so whenever a new record will be inserted, it will have the first value as a 1 and it will increment whenever a new record is inserted by 1. Right, let's create a sample table called tblm. This is the table we are going to create in the student database. Right, so let me create, and if you see here, employee ID will automatically start from 1. Why? Because we have given the seed value as 1 here. So whenever we insert a new record into this table, employee ID will be 1, and for the second record it will increment by 1. For the third record again it will increment by 1. Right, so let's see, just create a table with an identity column and let's try to insert 3 records into this. So below I'm having a 3 record here, the insert script for inserting the 3 records. If you see here, I'm not providing the value for identity column. So keep in mind, whenever you define an identity column, we cannot directly explicitly provide the value to the identity column, right? So we just need to mention the two columns apart from the identity, employee name and department. Let's insert this record and now see the data by using select command. Okay, this is not our table. We are going to see the data for tblm, right? So now we can see there are 3 records inserted: John, Priya, and Amit, right? And if you see here, the employee ID is automatically generated and it is in a sequence 1 1 because the employee ID column we defined as an identity, and identity keyword will help SQL Server to insert whenever a new record is inserted, a unique value will be generated for that particular column. Okay, we will provide seed and increment value. Okay, let's see what will happen if I try to insert the record for value for an identity column explicitly. Right, so let's see, I'm giving the column name as an employee ID, employee ID, employee name and department. Let's say I'm going to give the employee ID as a 4 and giving some name here like Max, and let's say he's an in sales department. Okay, so we know employee ID is an identity column, and here what we are doing, we are trying to provide a value for the identity column. So whenever we try to insert the value for an identity column explicitly, SQL Server will throw the error saying like we cannot insert the explicit value for an identity column inside a table, right? So we cannot insert the explicit identity value until and unless the identity insert is off. So using some identity insert command we can do that, and that we will see later on. Okay, but whenever there is an identity insert is set to off, we cannot insert the data inside an identity column, right? Let's see the next example where we will be adding a custom seed and increment. One more table I'm going to create, student, and if you see here, I'm going to have this seed value as a starting value, seed value as 100 and increment by 5. So let's create this table and try to insert some record here. If you see here, we have given the seed value as 100 and the starting value as a increment value as a 5. So let's insert some record here. Let's say Shiv, and okay, student ID we are not going to pass, so I will just mention the column name here, student name, and values will be, okay, there will be one value. I will provide one more value here like Rakesh, and let's say one more value here like Jaya. Okay, so 3 values I'm going to provide. Let's execute this and let's see the data using select command. We could see now the data is there and it is starting from 100, right? So first record will have the 100 value, second record will have increment by 105, third record again increment by 5, which is again nothing but 110, right? So we can start at any point and we can give any incremental value. This is how the identity will work, right? If you have to check on the table if there is an identity column present or not, okay, so you can check using DBCC command, DBCC CHECKIDENT, and give the table name. It will give you the identity information. What is the current identity value we are having, right? So we already have inserted 3 records and current generated identity value is 100. So let's say if you want to reset it to again back to 100, you can reset using the DBCC CHECKIDENT command, which is used to reset the identity value to a specific point, right? So in this way we can reset the value again to 100, our starting point. Okay, this is what the identity column. Let's say we have seen one example here. Whenever we try to insert the value explicitly inside an employee table, okay, and we failed this, right? So if you want to insert explicitly value, you need to set the identity insert as on. What is the syntax we'll be having? Set identity insert table name on, and then you can insert, and again you can set back to off. Okay, let's see. First, what I will do, I will delete a record from the table. Okay, delete from TBLM. What I need to delete is where ID, or let's say employee ID, is equal to 2. Okay, I have deleted one record where employee ID is equal to 2, and we can see the data once again. Select star from LM. We could see employee ID 2 is not there. So whenever I insert a new value, okay, whenever I insert a new value inside a table, it will goes on incrementing. It will not insert the ID as a 4, ID as a 2. It will insert the next identity value, which is 4 only, right? But we have to cover the employee ID 2. We need to add some employee. But whenever we are going to add the employee ID 2, let's say again John I'm adding, okay, it will not allow us to do that because of the identity insert. Okay, that's why we need to first set the identity insert on, then insert the record, second record, which is having gap, that we can insert, and again we can set the identity insert off, right? So in this way we will be inserting the missing record as well. run these three together and we will see the record ID 2 is also generated here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, we will have all the records. So this is how we can use the identity command, and this will be helpful to insert the data on a primary key column by uniquely generating a new value whenever a new record is inserted into a table. Right, so the identity is an most important SQL keyword we'll be having that will be useful for generating an identity or a unique values for a primary key column. Right, so we have seen today identity automatically generate a unique numbers. It is mainly used for primary key columns. Also, we can control its start and increment values by providing the custom values, and even we can reset or override it whenever it is required. So that's all for the today's session on identity column in SQL Server. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it on your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to SQL Edge for more SQL tutorials and practical demos. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video soon.